Welcome to the Idaho Fishing Report. Whether you are planning just a couple of hours or a full weekend of fishing, this is your one-stop place for all the information you need to plan your trip. It's all right here, from weather forecasts and reservoir levels to the latest stocking reports and expert advice. And now, the host of Idaho Fishing Report, Jeff Colors.
Welcome, anglers, to another edition of the Idaho Fishing Report. I am Jeff Colors. This is the report for the week of June 3rd, 2022. Joining us as he does each and every week, Jordan Rodriguez will be sharing a neat little story from Tightlines 208. I've got your regional updates, your reservoir level, your boat ramp information, a lot of stocking, and quite a few fishing tournaments happening this weekend. So sit back and relax, anglers. This is the Idaho Fishing Report. All right, before we start in the Magic Valley, just a little bit of a program update here. I was doing this report from Wednesday to Thursday, but as I discovered for myself last weekend, because of when I have to go get the information for the show, it can kind of mess it up a little bit, and that may change. So I've decided to push the show back. You may have noticed this week, we won't be releasing it until Friday or Thursday night or Friday morning, so that I can get those weather reports right up to the weekend, so we have the best amount of information. So you will notice that going forward, the show will come out on Thursday, early Friday morning, and it'll cover Friday through the next Thursday. All right, so starting over the Magic Valley, it's going to be a nice day on Friday, almost 80 degrees for your high, AM clouds, but sunny in the afternoon, almost no chance of rain. Saturday's pretty good too, but through the first part of the week, the highs will only be in the low 70s, high 60s. There is a 53% chance of rain on Sunday, 21% chance of rain on Monday, and it goes down from there. You can expect to see 11 to 15 mile an hour winds Sunday through Tuesday. Your reservoir level and boat ramp information. Lake Walcott is at 96% full with an elevation of 4245, and the boat ramp is open. Littlewood is sitting at 87% full with an elevation of 5230. The Littlewood boat ramp is open. Speaking of Littlewood, Fish and Game will be there stocking this week with about 6,000 fish. Fishing tournaments for the Magic Valley. There's two of them happening on June 4th. The Kayak Fishing Northwest will be held at Lake Walcott. And then also on June 4th, the Mini Cassia Bassers will be at Milner Lake, and they'll be using the golf course boat ramp. And that is your report for the Magic Valley. All right, folks, joining us as he does each and every week, journalist, creator, and owner of Tightlines 208, Jordan Rodriguez. How are you doing tonight, Jordan?
Doing great, Jeff. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. What is that Tightlines 208 hot tip of the week?
Well, tonight's hot tip, Jeff, is actually inspired by the podcast, or at least an experience I had recently as a result of the podcast. So, and the tip is this. The tip is don't be afraid to ask for help, because fishing is an activity where it doesn't matter how much you know, how much experience you have. When you're fishing new waters, where you're headed out of state, or to places you've never been before, it never hurts to have a little help along the way. So obviously, in this day and age, there's a lot we can do to research on our own in terms of online stuff and YouTube and social media and all the things that exist. We've talked about that on previous segments, I think. But this particular example, a gentleman who lives in California and listens to the show because he's planning a trip here later, I guess, in June, I want to say.
Okay.
He hits me up and says, "Hey, I heard you on the podcast. I want to reach out, and I'm coming down exclusively to smallmouth bass fish, and I want to get your thoughts about Swan Valley on the Snake River." And I said, well, there is a Swan Valley on Snake River. There's also a Swan Falls. Swan Valley is over by Wyoming, and it's really good fishing, but you won't find a bass within many, many miles of there. It's a trout stream. He said, if you're talking Swan Falls, that is smallmouth bass, and actually a pretty good area. So it turns out he had booked a spot at Swan Valley and was not, aware of the terrain. And this is a guy, he sent me some pictures. He's all over it over there in Northern California, catching big, huge bass out of places like Clear Lake. Clearly someone who's into the sport and knows what the heck they're doing. What he doesn't know is where the heck Swan Valley is as opposed to Swan Falls. And how would you, right?
Right.
How would you? So by doing that, making that call and that outreach, and by listening to the show in the first place, he saved himself, you know, hoping to see one thing and having a completely different scenario upon arrival. And he's actually since changed his travel plans and is now headed to a different stretch of river that will be a bass fishery. And of course, I gave him some tips and some pointers as well. Had a really nice dialogue over email, and seems like a really nice guy. So, moral of the story is, this guy is, as good or better of an angler than, probably 80 to 90% of the folks out there. But without reaching out and getting a little help, he might have been in a confusing situation.
Yeah, and so it's an interesting topic, asking for help, because there are some folks out there that are more willing than others to help. But I think it's how you approach it, right? You're not asking for somebody's secret spot. You're not asking for, where are you going to get it? But hey, just kind of, where are some places? And, I kind of reflect back, and I think we talked about it last year. I don't know if we mentioned it this year or not, but how you and I actually met was through through one of your classes. And when I first moved here, I considered myself a decent angler. I had bass fishing in North Carolina, had gone deep sea fishing. I was very knowledgeable. I didn't know anything about trout when I first moved here, so I saw your class when we came and took it. And because of that, I've learned a lot. I made a good friend in addition to that. But I think that it is good to ask, and like I said, it's kind of how you pose that question, right? You're not asking for somebody's secret spot, but just some general knowledge.
Absolutely. And all that is true. And then there's also, like, what are your circumstances? And, sometimes when I travel, I've hired guides. I got no problem doing that. Or I've gone with locals, or sometimes been fortunate to know somebody or have a connection that I could go with that knows the waters. And I got to tell you, would I love nothing more than to go to a new place, whether it's somewhere on the coast, somewhere foreign, somewhere in the Midwest, and spend a week and just get in there and figure it out. Yes, I would. Like, that sounds to me like the best time ever, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
and
Yeah.
I would expect, to get my butt kicked, and hopefully by day 3 or 4 or 5, start dialing some things in and find some success. I would love that, right? But just where I'm at in life right now with the job and little kids and everything like that, when those opportunities arise, I usually have a day or half a day to go fishing. And so it's just not an option. And so finding some connection, or like I said, even hiring a guide at times, is the right decision, because if you have a week-long trip somewhere and you have one day you can go fishing, you want to make sure that you get to experience, or at least give yourself the best odds of having the experience you want. Maybe that's catching a species we don't have here, right? Maybe that's big game hunting, like a giant muskie or something deep sea wise. And as cool as it would be to just roll out there with your own gear and put a whooping down on them, it's probably not going to happen on your very first time pretty much anywhere. So, I just think it's important that we as anglers just always look at it as opportunities to learn from others. I once fished with a guide who's since become a good friend of mine, and he said, you know what, every angler is your teacher. And he's like, I do this for a living, and I fish with different people every day, and I learn something almost every day from the people I fish with. And if that can be true of somebody who's literally a professional fisherman, then it certainly can be true for each and every one of us. So like I said, it's easier than ever in today's day and age to go seek out information and find it and give yourself the best odds. And it's just important that we're not afraid to ask.
Absolutely. And that's the whole premise of this podcast. All the information that I put on this podcast is readily available for anyone to go find it themselves, because that's what I'm doing. I'm finding it, most of it on the web. I do listen to some weather forecast. but I'm trying to provide this succinct information for folks where they can get the information quickly and get to what they need to get to. So I like it, and that's a really neat story, and I'm glad you shared that with us. So how do the listeners get a hold of you if they want to ask you questions?
Well, I'm tightlinesboise@gmail.com is my email address. And of course, tightlines208.com is the website. You can catch recent fishing reports and some other articles, links to all my columns on that site. And of course, as you mentioned, the classes, about once a month, we have a class. I offer all my classes as private lessons as well if you're not able to join the group sessions. So currently we have Panfish School coming up in about 2 weeks on June 15. And I do still have some spots available for that. So Panfish School, all things crappie, perch, and bluegill. I'll say that again for you. All things crappie, perch, and bluegill, and a couple other little surprise species we fold in there as well. So if you're interested in catching those species and learning more about that, join us for Panfish School on June 15th.
That's okay. We'll make you a honorary Southern. You can call them a crappie, because that's what we call
crappie.
them.
That's right.
That's what we call them down in North Carolina. We call them crappies. But they're good eating, that's for sure. All right.
Oh, man.
There you have it. Jordan Rodriguez, journalist, creator and owner of Tightlines 208. He joins us each and every week and shares wonderful stories and amazing tips. Jordan, we thank you for joining us and hope you have a great week.
Likewise. Thanks, brother.
All right. Well, big thanks to Jordan there. And exciting news we have. We have an opportunity now. If you want to help support the show, you can do that through Patreon. We have a link on our website. Just go to gemstatefishing.com, click on the Patreon site. Here's some good news though, listeners. If you sign up to be a Patreon, there's a lot of advantages that you get. Like you will get the podcast before anybody else does. But also additionally, we're going to give you a discount to any of Jordan Rodriguez's Tightline 208 classes. Plus, we're going to give away a seat in every class that he has in the coming year, simply because you're a Patreon listener. So if you'd like to support the show, you can do it for as little as $5 a month. And you can do that to help us continue to grow, and you get some great discounts, and you also get some great advantages. So go to gemstatefishing.com, click on the Patreon page, and become an Idaho Fishing Report patron. Let's head over to the Treasure Valley. Sunset will be around 9:16 p.m. Friday's going to be a really nice day, a high of 82 degrees, partly cloudy, 8-mile-an-hour wind with only about a 5% chance of rain. Now, Saturday and Sunday, you're going to see some rain later in the day on Saturday. In fact, we're planning on heading out early Saturday morning to try and get some fishing in, but only a high of about, weather.com says 67. Local news says about 71. So somewhere in that area, high 60s, low 70s, 11-mile-an-hour wind. Monday looks pretty decent, high of 69, only 20% chance of rain, 15-mile-an-hour wind. And then it gets warmer as we go through the week. From Tuesday to Thursday, we go from 70 to a high to 80 for a high on Thursday. Almost no chance of rain. Wednesday looks super nice, 78, partly cloudy, only 9-mile-an-hour wind. A little bit closer to the capital city of Boise, sunset around 9:20 p.m. Pretty much the same thing. You're going to see a high in the low 80s on Friday, about a 45 to 50% chance of rain on Saturday. Sunday, you're going to see a greater chance of about 60% and scattered thunderstorms, and the highs will be in the mid to upper 60s. Same for Monday, but mostly sunny versus the cloudiness. Tuesday's going to be really nice, 69 degrees at the high, sunny, only a 4% chance of rain. Thursday of next week, there is a slight chance of rain. Your reservoir level and boat ramp information for the Treasure Valley. Anderson Ranch is at 70% full with an elevation of 4167. All boat ramps are open. Arrow Rock is 94% full with an elevation of 3211. The high and low ramp is open. Lucky Peak is 81% full with an elevation of 3035. With an elevation of 3035, only Roby Creek and Max Creek are closed for those boat ramps. Lake Lowell is sitting at 63% full with an elevation of 2524. All ramps are open. There are way too many ponds to list here, but there are quite a few ponds that are getting anywhere from 250 to 1,000 fish stocked in them. Go to Fish and Game website for a detailed list. You can also go to gemstatefishing.com, go to our links page, and you can find a link there to Fish and Game. I will tell you this too. Speaking of stocking, we were supposed to go fishing last weekend and had to cancel So stayed local, went out to Eagle Island State Park here in Boise. We were out fishing for some trout, and while we were there, Fish and Game showed up, and they stocked quite a few fish. If you're currently watching this on YouTube, you're actually watching the video play as we speak. If you're listening to this on an audio file, go over to Gem State Fishing page on YouTube and you can see that video. All right, fishing tournaments for the Treasure Valley. June 4th, the Boise Bass Busters will be at CJ Strike using the Black Sands boat ramp. Hey, guess what, listeners? We have a new website. That's right, it's gemstatefishing.com. Go there to check out all the links because you can get all the information we provide here. You can also contact us through the site. All right, heading up the Double Nickel, sunset in the Cascade area will be around 9:23 p.m. High of 71 on Friday. And you won't see that high again till later next week as it diminishes from there. Mid to upper 50s Saturday through Monday, mid 60s to upper 60s Tuesday through Thursday. Good chance of rain all weekend long. Friday, about a 24% chance, and it goes up into the 80s on Saturday and Sunday, and a 58% chance on Monday. After that, looks pretty good. Mostly sunny, single-digit % chance of rain, so you'll be pretty good to go out there. All right, what is that reservoir level and boat ramp information looking like for Cascade? Well, let's start it. Lake Cascade, 89% full with an elevation of 48.25. All ramps are open. That's right. Every ramp is open at Cascade now. Deadwood, 77% full with an elevation of 53.22. And the Cozy Cove boat ramp is open. Man Creek is at 98% full with an elevation of 28.88. Both south and north ramps are open. There are no major stocking for the Cascade area, as well as there are no major fishing tournaments in the Cascade area. Hey, do you want to be part of the show? Email us with questions or your fishing report from your last trip. You can email us at gemstatefishing208@gmail.com. Want to send me pictures of your fish? Send it to myfish@gemstatefishing.com. And if you have questions about the show or want something answered, email us at questions@gemstatefishing.com. Let's head over to the Idaho-Oregon border. Sunset there will be around 9:28 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. On Friday, you'll see a high of upper 70s, almost 80, but there will be evening thunderstorms. Just like Cascade, there's a great chance of rain Saturday and Sunday, 85 and 83% chance. And even Monday's going to be about a 50% chance of rain. Gets better after that with single digits Tuesday and Wednesday, but the rain starts to eke back in on Thursday. Your highs will be in the mid 60s Sunday and Monday. And then it creeps up from there to mid 70s to lower 80s on Thursday. Brownlee is currently sitting at 2072. All ramps are open. I think that's about 5 feet from full for Brownlee. I think it sits at 2077. So about 5 feet from being full. There's 2 fishing tournaments over there this weekend. June 4th is the American Bass Association. They'll be using the Woodhead boat ramp at Brownlee. And I said this weekend, but it's actually Monday, June 6th. The Boise Police Association will be using the Woodhead boat ramp at Brownlee Reservoir. You can find us on Facebook groups, or you can follow us on Twitter at Idaho_report. All right, it is time for your moon phase report. The new moon was on May 30th. The first quarter will be on June 7th, so we're kind of right in the middle of that. Your next full moon will be June 14th. Apogee is June 1st. Perigee is June 14th. Again, a quick reminder, apogee is when the moon is furthest away from the Earth. Perigee is when the moon is closest. So June 14th looks like a really good time to go fishing. We're coming out of the new moon, as I said, and into the first quarter. The first part of next week, the fishing will begin weaker as the week progresses, according to the moon phases. Now, peak hours Friday through Sunday will be around 6 a.m. So, somewhere in that 5 to 7 range. And then you get another little bump, but it's barely in the good around 6 p.m. Now, as we inch towards the full moon, there's going to be one peak time in the good for the first part of next week between 6 and 9 a.m. Wednesday and Thursday look a little bit better with good peak times between 9 and 10 a.m. and again between 9 and 10 p.m. All right. Well, it is time for my grade. You know, it really just kind of depends. I think if you're headed to Cascade or you're headed out to the Snake River Reservoir area, probably going to be a D this weekend for you. I would avoid those. I would say you could get into a C or a B if you kind of stick to the Treasure Valley or Magic Valley areas. You won't have as many raindrops to avoid, but you'll still see it. So I think if you're getting out this weekend, earlier is going to be better, especially Friday. Magic Valley looks to be about your best bet. You're going to get less rain on Saturday than most people are. You know, I'd call it a C. For the rest of the area, I would definitely give Cascade and the Snake River Reservoir area a D. Well, I was able to get out and do some fishing last week. Thursday, I went to Salmon Falls Creek Reservoir for the first time, and it was just me and my dog Dean, who you see at the end of every show. We got up there and we did some fishing, targeting walleye. I caught 2 rainbow, and I hooked a really nice walleye. And I will tell you, I haven't hooked a fish like that in a while. That thing was a fighter. It was a lot of fun. So I was really happy to be able to get that one on and fight that bad boy. Wish I could have landed it. Getting ready to head back out over that area again, and the thunderstorms rolled in. Now, poor Dean. Dean is one of these dogs, like many, I'm sure, that just doesn't like thunder. He hates it in the house. He hated it even more on the boat. And it was the two of us trying to get back in our pontoon boat. And if any of you have ever been out on a pontoon boat in a windstorm, it's not a lot of fun. It's even less fun when you're trying to dock it and you got a dog that won't leave your side. It took me about 12 tries to get that thing in, but we finally got it in. We were all soaked. The dog and I were both soaked. Anyway, it was fun. I got one of those scratched off my list. I'd never been there before. Hopefully going to get another one scratched off the list here in a couple of weeks that we've never been at before either. The next day, again, we were supposed to go fishing again, and my truck died. Fortunately, my friend at Reliable Automotive, Eric, got it taken care of. Hey, go visit him. It's a free plug for you, Eric. He got it fixed, but unfortunately had to stick around close. And like I said, went to Eagle Island. Didn't catch much of anything there. Really has gotten mossy in there. And so if you're not fishing with probably live bait or some type of weedless jig, it's going to be really hard to catch anything out of there. But it can certainly be done. There's some bass in there as well. We did catch a couple of rainbow and a couple of small bluegill. I wanted to go fishing with my friend, and so we did. All right, my friends, that is going to put a wrap on this show. I'm glad that you are here with us. We're going to do some fishing this weekend, and hopefully we can get you some video of us pulling up some crappie slabs, even some nice bass. We'll have my favorite fishing partner with me, who we just celebrated our 8th year together, and I'm really grateful to have her by my side. She's best fishing partner a man could ever ask for. So Jocelyn, happy anniversary to you. For the rest of you, I hope you have a great weekend. I'm Jeff Cullers. This is the Idaho Fishing Report, and I'll see you on the water. We would like to thank you for listening to the Idaho Fishing Report, and would like to remind you to visit our website, gemstatefishing.com, or you can find us on Facebook or YouTube. I'd like to thank our sponsors, our guests, and experts, as well as you, our listener, for making this show possible.
This has been an Old Man Studios production. Join us next week for another episode of the Southern Idaho Fishing Report.